Hi there, this is Shariah Dharma, and I'll be introducing Rebecca Hardcastle. Rebecca, welcome. I got to see your panel yesterday with everyone. It was really fascinating, and you have such an incredible breadth of abilities and knowledge and everything. And I'm trying to see if maybe Neil can make sure that we are seen on the camera. I see it's just going to the logo now.
No, everybody can see you.
What's that? Okay, it's just my setting.
Yeah, you
okay.
just see me, but everybody can see you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. And let me just introduce Rebecca properly here. Rebecca Hardcastle, Wright, PhD, is a leading expert in psychic intelligence and cosmic consciousness. And she's committed to building what she calls an exo-conscious civilization. She actually coined the phrase back in 2008, it looks like. And she wants to see this civilization be co-created by human and non-human intelligences, including ETs and multidimensional beings. So it's very related to what we were just talking about with Misha, and there were a lot of questions about this, the good, the bad, the otherwise, like what is full of integrity, what is questionable, where does our discernment come in with all this? It's got to be a huge question on your mind, Rebecca, I'm sure. And you feel that claiming our psychic intelligence and also our psychic abilities is a really big part of this transition that we're in right now. You've been a member of the Apollo 14 astronaut group and Edgar Mitchell's Quantrack International Science Team. You've researched zero-point energy, consciousness, and the ET presence. You've got some books like How Exo-conscious Humans Guide Our Spacefaring Future. This is all extremely fascinating stuff, which we are only just beginning to understand as humanity. And so welcome to Portal to Ascension Conference. I really look forward to hearing what you'd like to say. Do you want me to guide with questions, or would you prefer to just sort of take it away? What is your desire?
Well, first of all, it's wonderful to meet you. And I looked into your work. It's fascinating.
Oh, thank you very much.
I love everything you do. And your relationship with Neil is such a wonderful thing. What about, I have a short presentation. If I just do the presentation and then I'll just leave time for questions and we can discuss it.
Beautiful.
Would that be okay? I think it'll answer a lot of questions people have about our work with the Institute for Exo-Consciousness. So if it's okay, I'll just share my screen. Okay. So am I all on okay? I need to go to a slideshow first.
Yes, we can see your presentation now.
But it's probably just coming
up. Hit play.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. I just want to thank Neil and Alan and yourself for inviting me to participate in this. It's been such a wonderful opportunity. And today I'm going to be talking about the Institute for Exo-Consciousness. Our nickname is IXO. And we're a small community of committed people with a big vision. Our vision is that we are co-creating an exo-conscious civilization. So that kind of gives you a little bit of idea. Sorry, this came off again. It gives you a little bit of an idea how big our vision is. Our group is an international group, and I just want to say that I am so moved by the commitment of this small group of extraterrestrial and multidimensional experiencers. They come together, we share our psychic intelligence. Our board, we're a nonprofit, and our board of directors is actually guided by our beings as well as ourselves. So when we plan our meetings, when we have discussions, we have built that into the model of our nonprofit, that those who participate are expected to bring in their psychic intelligence, their contact and communications with extraterrestrials to participate in the Institute. Just to be clear, we are a group of experiencers who are not only integrated, but we're very grounded. So we're so grounded in our contact that we actually have ongoing conscious contact with our extraterrestrials. And We use this to integrate into our lives, and very importantly, we integrate it into our professional work. So I recently wrote a book called Exo-Conscious Humans, Claiming Psychic Intelligence in a Transhuman World. And I wasn't expecting to write this book, but it sort of just burst itself. And it goes a lot into what Misha was talking about. I was pleased to be able to hear part of her talk and to sort of tie these two talks together, because like Misha, I had looked heavily into MK Ultra. I'd looked at Project Monarch, mind control, hypnotherapy, all of those different things. And all of a sudden, I just got interested in artificial intelligence, and I began to wonder about outside of these, quote, kind of human to human Project Monarch or MK Ultra types of control situations on our consciousness, was there an issue around artificial intelligence and our ability to actually be psychically intelligent? And what is artificial intelligence? What's that impact going to be on the whole topic of this conference today, over these days, which is Ascension? So is there an impact that's going to be a part of our ascension or affect our ascension in any way? And we don't really approach these questions as a negative question, but we approach it more as, how do we navigate this new emerging reality of transhumanism? How do we make our way in a very responsible and, above all, conscious manner in order to build this exo-conscious civilization that we had? This morning I tuned in and I saw Adrian gave that beautiful meditation. I hope some of you that have tuned in now have had that chance to be part of that. It was such a moving thing. And as you know, as I was watching Adrian and his just going down into his heart and into all of the chakras in his body, going down into Mother Earth and then out into the cosmos, I was just struck by that freedom that we all have now to meditate and to pray and to set intentions and to use our consciousness. And we in the Institute feel like the preservation and the advancement of natural human consciousness, so in other words, body, mind, spirit, our chakras, our entire body is involved in this psychic intelligence, that is one of the things that we have to be aware of, that we have to preserve and also advance at the same time. So just to quickly define exo-consciousness, exo-consciousness is the innate human ability. So what that basically means is that every human has, because by virtue of the fact that they're conscious and that their consciousness goes into this non-local field that we've been talking about through this symposium, the field of consciousness, that this innate human ability, through it we can connect, communicate, and importantly co-create with ETs and multidimensionals. So the challenge of transhuman consciousness, what does that look like? Transhumanism basically, or the growth of artificial intelligence, means that through artificial intelligence, the human body, so our sensory abilities, our ability to see, our ability to hear, our ability to speak, all of those are enhanced, as well as our emotional abilities are enhanced. And we can see this on social media with the use of memes and how things are falling into these meme-like symbolisms. So also in terms of our consciousness, in terms of connecting to one another as humans. So that's transhumanism as technology. And interesting to sort of piggyback on what Misha was talking about, transhumanism is not new. It's not something from the 2020. This is a really old school of beliefs. It's been around a long time. When Misha talked about ETs coming in and working with animals and plants and other types of being, birds here on Earth, actually that's all part of alchemy. So alchemy believed that we lived in this ladder. So as humans ascended this ladder of evolution, first we were animals, which is the lowest ladder. Next we were plants. So humans merged with plants. And then the third is that humans would merge with minerals and parts of the earth, which is where we're at today. That's what really transhumanism is when we talk about machine man or whatever. And then the top level for alchemy is actually a masculine androgyny, was what the old alchemists felt would be the highest place that we reach. So this is an important point. I'll just make it very briefly. There's been lots of brain initiatives by our government back with Bush in the 1990s to the 2000s, and then the brain initiative in the Obama administration. So the whole point of these brain initiations, these brain initiatives that garner a lot of money and prestige, is that transhumanism basically believes that the brain is a machine, or the brain equals consciousness. And so everything is located in my head. So basically in transhumanism, your head gets really big because that's the whole focus of that sort of science. And so very briefly about this is like a 2-second overview of artificial intelligence. They're sort of like nesting dolls. The Russian babushka dolls is how I like to think about it. So in artificial intelligence, the first doll would be artificial intelligence itself as a whole. And you can think of that as when you go on Amazon or to a retail store, you order something, and this system says, well, because you ordered this item, now you may want to order that item. So it's kind of a linking, if this, then that kind of digital intelligence. The second one is machine learning. And machine learning was basically put together by playing checkers. So a man named Samuel, I think his last name's Samuels, he would play checkers with a computer endlessly until the computer won every time. So it was just basically data input of make this move, no, make that move. And then the third little babushka doll inside of AI and machine learning is what we call deep learning. And that's what we see coming forth today in terms of driverless cars, automatic cars. I live in Phoenix, and we have Waymos driving all over, it's part of Google Alphabet, driving all over Phoenix. So this is just basically gathering data. So in the hopes that literally an autonomous car, as they call them, will actually drive better than a human. But that still leaves the question, could artificial intelligence really replace natural human consciousness? Is it really gonna be something that we need to navigate around in order to meditate or in order to connect with extraterrestrials? Is this really an issue? And I ran into this fourth babushka doll, and she's called Artificial Intuition, put together by a company called Deep Stack. So in artificial intuition, they're literally mimicking with artificial intelligence your gut feeling. So if you get a gut feeling of something that's going to happen in the future, or how something needs to play out, then that gut feeling is what artificial intuition is trying to actually mimic. So artificial intuition is for anything that has an uncertain outcome. And so what they did was they played poker, and they used the game of poker instead of checkers in order to develop this artificial intuition. This is being used, for example, when we hear about these different scenarios that the military runs, these different planned programs and scenarios, or John Podesta recently did a transition integrity project, probably run by artificial intuition, to figure out whether or not how the election was going to turn out. So elections or wars, these are the sort of things that have an uncertain outcome that artificial intuition is used for. So little did I know that I'd be moving from artificial intelligence into synthetic biology. I didn't even know what synthetic biology was. But once I got into it, my eyes were open to its reality. And I think many of us have become, very aware of what synthetic biology is today. We hear that bantered around. It's actually replacing what many of us took in college. Many of us took microbiology. Today, when you go to college, you may take microbiology or university, but probably you're going to be taking a form of synthetic biology in your curriculum. So interestingly enough, back in the 80s, I worked at a campus that was built from the ground up to be handicap accessible. And so we had a lot of kind of geoengineering going on there. That there was a professor that was helping these handicapped, paralyzed people to get up and walk and swim in the pool and doing all kinds of amazing things. And I got so interested in it, but I felt called to do this this conference. It was called the High Impact of the impact of high technology, the ethical impact of high technology. And for some reason, I just felt like I needed to look at this. We as a university needed to look at this. And then several decades later, I end up in Washington, D.C. As my introduction said, I was working for the astronaut, Dr. Edgar Mitchell. And I lived in this apartment complex, aptly named Avalon. And it was right across the street from Craig Ventner's Genome Project. So I could sit in my apartment and look out over the lawns of the Genome Project. So needless to say, I got very interested in that. I would walk around that building, and which had kind of one-way lights and can you see me? I can see you. What are you doing? What's happening in there? And then in terms of ufology, I've been very, very active in exopolitics, very active in ufology for a few decades now. I've actually been an experiencer since I was a child. So I've been very drawn into that field. And in ufology, we talk a lot about the secret space program. Do we have these, ET-like craft, or, what's all this missing trillions of dollars being spent on? And I began to see that actually synthetic biology program actually wove into the secret space program, that this geoengineering that was happening in space was also happening in our bodies. That was a real wake-up call for me. So how do we navigate a transhuman world as exo-conscious humans? Real quick, I want to give you the best example I can get. There's a new Nike sneaker coming out. It's called Nike Hyper Adapt. It costs almost $800. So let's just pretend that you buy your son a pair of Nike Hyper Adapt sneakers for $800. I don't know why you would do that, but if you did, those sneakers are able to monitor the internal workings of his body through his cell phone as well as his Fitbit. Also, when you buy your son these Nike Hyper Adapts, it also connects you to the Bitcoin world. And Nike now has something called crypto kicks. So you are then, through your shoes, being part of a crypto kick on the cryptocurrency network. And not only are your sneakers on the network, but also your jeans are on the network. I started looking at this company called GeneCoin several years ago, actually back in 2014, 6 years ago. And I just kind of, one of those things I just stumbled upon, and I began to see how the Bitcoin world was ready to transfer all of this work that the Genome Project had done. So Craig Ventner's Genome Project and different groups of that through the Obama and the Bush Genome Project, how they were actually able to take DNA and put it up, your DNA, your son's DNA, and put it up on the blockchain and literally be able to reproduce yourself through this blockchain. So basically your shoes and yourself both have a soul, and that soul is uploaded onto the blockchain. So just to be clear, technocracy, and this is going to kind of finish it up, but technocracy really is transhumanism, and it's an economic system. It's literally all encompassing. So when we spiritual people talk about oneness and all, we have to also realize that science and transhumanism also believe that they are also all encompassing. So let's start really quickly with how this happens to your son. So he's got these Nike Hyper Adapt shoes, and he wants to go to a vocational institute high school, and he wants to become a nurse. So he enrolls in a curriculum on nursing. So he maybe becomes nursing assistant, gets his LPN, whatever those different certifications are for nurses that you can get in high school today. Every time he gets a certification, he gets what's called a digital badge. That digital badge is then uploaded as his digital transcript into EduBlocks. Now, your son in high school is starting late in this process. For example, Amazon is opening a school of preschools across the country. So those children that go into Jeff Bezos' preschools will have digital badges and EduBlocks all through their entire learning situation. That's all on the blockchain. And once again, of course, your son's in his Nike Hyper Adapt shoes as also his DNA. Every time he takes an inoculation, of course, being in the nursing program, he'll take a lot of inoculations. I have to go to, regularly monitored medical visits. His DNA will be collected. All that will be as part of the gene coin. And of course, we've all heard about ID 2020, Bill Gates, Rockefeller, Accenture, and a few other huge corporations putting together ID 2020. So that will be your son's complete identity up on the blockchain. So your son graduates from high school, he graduates from college, and he's got this really strong looking digital transcript, and he goes into the workplace. And in the workplace, he joins not a normal corporation, he'll be joining a digital anonymous kind of organizations where there's no more of this top down, but everyone is a shareholder, everyone makes choices, everything is based on what your EduBlocks are. Of course, your pension, your medical benefits, everything is also going to be on these EduBlocks. So you'll be making decisions in this DAO about other people. They will be making decisions about you, the hiring or firing. Did you produce? Did you not produce? And all of this information that's been put into your EduBlocks and your ID 2020 and your DAO, all of that is a permanent record up on the cloud. So why does that matter to you as a parent? What's the big deal? Or why does that matter to us as exo-conscious humans? What's the big deal about that? Well, when your son navigated into this labyrinth of transhumanism and blockchains and EduBlocks and digital currency, you went right along with him because you also, as parents and family members, are also linked up to this blockchain. And I think as we navigate this, we just really have to look at what this means for all of us as we're looking at what's happening to us as humans, and whether or not this is something that we want to move into, or is this something that we want to put boundaries around, or is this something that we welcome, or are we going to be cautious and careful as we navigate into it? But I just wanted you today to kind of have the whole big picture of what that meant, because I think transhumanism really sort of takes itself apart in blocks, and it's hard to see how all the blocks fit together. And I hope this gives you a little bit of an overview.
Whew. Oh my gosh, Rebecca, that is really, really, really intense. I have to say that I am having a massive reaction about this presentation, and I personally need to just state to the universe and everyone here that I choose an organic timeline with humanity fully in its own capacity of self-leadership without any technology intervention by any of these so-called luminaries who think that they're in charge of us. It's like, no, thank you. And you agree?
I totally agree. Wow. I hope everybody here agrees.
Like, my God, no, 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 no. That is not what I choose. I don't want it. Absolutely not. Whoever thinks that they are able to, oh, do you want to stop sharing that? you know, whoever thinks that they are, I think you have to stop sharing your screen if you want us to see your lovely face again. So
Okay.
in other words, whoa, yeah, no, no, thank you. No. How do we,
This is just part one. I mean, we're really going to go to part two as to how we're going to navigate this.
Mhm. Okay, so in other words, you're also saying that you're researching and looking at this and going, oh my gosh, this is crazy stuff. I'm not into it. Is that your position? Or
Oh, totally, totally.
okay,
But
great.
also, I want to be fair. I mean, if you're a healer, I mean, this whole portal to ascension, 5 days, is made possible because of technology and AI.
Sure, technology has its place, right? And
Absolutely. So, right. So I'm not saying get out of my life. I'm saying let's be smart about what we're doing. Okay. So let me go on.
As a concept isn't something I'm even interested in at all. Like, no, keep your damn stuff out of my body. Like any, you know, and I imagine a lot of people feel the same way. Like the human being was already designed as a highly advanced technology that is far superior to anything that they can think up or make up. So they're trying to interfere with it and reroute it to their own purposes, is what it feels like to me.
Oh, yes. And this isn't new. This is old stuff. This is old alchemy. This has been tried numerous times on Earth. This is nothing new. And we just need to be aware of it and navigate it.
Well, did you hear Corey Good's talk when he was saying that the Anshar, this was a while back, and he said that the Anshar consider themselves to be us in the future. And they are looking back at this time frame that we're in, and they're saying, we're still dealing with the mistakes you guys made about this, however many thousands of years in the future. And so it really is a timeline question and a big choice point for humanity. And I feel like there's beings that are presenting it as a choice when it really isn't. It's like, who even said that this is a choice? Like, we didn't ask for this choice. This has nothing to do with our highest good or who we really are as beings. And you've interjected this and now are presenting it as a choice. And that's not cool. Like, I even question who set this up as, oh, now there's this big choice for humanity. Do you have anything to comment about that?
Well, I think when all of us come into life here on Earth, that we're certainly not a blank slate. We certainly come in with all kinds of extraterrestrial consciousness. You know, there's a lot of people, myself and a lot of people on the experiencer panel, a lot of people that are watching today that, you know, we came in with a lot of knowledge. You know, we may be from star systems that have also had, like you said, had to deal with this situation. So that's why we at the Institute are doing our work, because we want to preserve and advance natural human consciousness.
That's beautiful. I absolutely love that. And yes, I do feel that other races, from what I understand, have had to deal with this.
Yes.
And this AI transhumanist concept, basically, rather than like dealing with and working with and getting to know and playing with other extraterrestrial beings who are benevolent and want to play nicely and who want to advance all of our consciousness in harmony with the one. That's one whole arena, right? And then the other arena is where it's mixed up with this more nefarious negative agenda stuff that is actually, if human beings were asked, they would be like, no, thank you. That's not what I choose. But they're trying to sneak it in or make it look normal. Do you agree?
Yes, but in order to choose, you have to be conscious.
Yes, you have to.
So if you're not conscious of what this world is, what this whole technocratic, transhuman, artificial intelligence world is, as an experiencer, then you're not going to be able to make a choice. The choice is going to be made for you. That's why we really call it exo-consciousness. We need to be conscious about, even if it's difficult or challenging, and maybe scientifically we don't want to learn about this, we have to learn about it, and we have to be conscious, or the choice is going to be made for us. That's part of Earth life, is choices. And we have to step up and make the choice that we want to make. And that's really why we're forming the Institute.
Mm-hmm. And so how do people navigate then? So making that choice, like, I know as a healer, as an embodied being, of consciousness to the best of my ability, when I tell the universe, even just on my own, what I choose, that has an impact. In other words, our own inner choice with our own vibration has an impact. But is there another thing that you're suggesting that we need to do to state our choices clearly to those who are presenting this as an option?
Well, I didn't really get to get into what we're doing as an institute. I think that'll answer some of the questions.
Okay,
it's
great.
kind of like, well, if you don't want to go this path of AI or use AI responsibly, let's say, then you also have the chance to go that path. So let me just really quickly go through, and I have a video at the end. So I hope it comes on and that kind of sort of wrap everything up.
We have about 6 more minutes. So
okay, I'm just going to go really quickly and then I'll show the video and then.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Thanks. And this is fascinating, by the way. And I mean, thank you for being someone brave enough to dive in and look at this stuff granularly, because I think a lot of us are just like, get me out of here. I don't even want to look at it.
It's okay. I was afraid for 3 years. It took me 3 years to write this book because I was so scared. But I'm not scared anymore.
Okay.
I actually feel very empowered. So
wonderful.
It's all good. Okay. Okay. So real quickly, as we think that we are oneness of consciousness, that AI also thinks they're actually a oneness of consciousness too. So I'll just move through this really quick. I've come to the realization after these 3 or 4 years of study and writing this book that the exo-conscious humans are really the antidotes and the solutions for this transhuman world that we're moving into. And that's why we need to come together and form a community. So real briefly, who are these exo-conscious humans? We are integrated. That means that we've integrated our contact. We have cosmic consciousness. So as transhumanism has alchemy, we have, which is ancient. We ourselves have cosmic consciousness, which is also ancient. We can tap into that knowing. We have high psychic intelligence. Actually, the whole book is about, that I wrote is about what psychic intelligence is. We believe that we as exo-conscious humans can form a peer-to-peer relationship with extraterrestrials. So that means we remain humans with ET contact, and that we are at an equal relationship of peer-to-peer with extraterrestrials. And with that peer-to-peer relationship, then we do what's called being co-creative. So we remain humans, remain knowing, remain multidimensional beings going out in this field of consciousness freely, and begin to consult and gather information in order to bring forth innovations and different inventions. And that's the whole focus of the Institute. We call ourselves CE6. I don't really have time to talk about that, or the whole biophoton field. But what we do believe is that when we have extraterrestrial contact, that we actually get a higher IQ. So a higher psychic IQ happens. And this was shown through the free survey of all the 5,000 extraterrestrial experiencers over 5 years, that when they had contact, that their psychic intelligence expanded and increased. So we have a whole perspective of exo-conscious biology. It's very different than synthetic biology. And we believe that we are an antidote actually to synthetic biology, and that we can become what we call epigenetic engineers, and that we are, as epigenetic engineers, our body and our psychic intelligence and the energy field around us actually become an influencer in this whole quantum field. So a great part of our community are exo-conscious healers. And we believe that these healers are actually going to bring in the next phase of medicine, the next phase of biology, conscious biology that is going to be here on Earth. And we are called iExo. So we have 2 missions. Our first mission is seeding the co-created inventions and innovations. So we are seeding exo-conscious humans that actually want to apply their contact into their work in agriculture or teaching and education, or building a new economics, or doing art or new kinds of spirituality. And also we are training and educating another generation of co-creators. So those are our two. You can go on my website, I offer exo-conscious coaching. I'm going to offer an online class about the exo-conscious human. You can go to my website and order the book. It's not formally published yet, but it should be in a month or so. So hope this works. This is an overview of our institute. Welcome to the era of exo-consciousness, the innate human ability to connect, communicate, and co-create with ETs and multidimensionals. Normal individuals, a singular institute. We are normal people gathered in a singular institute to recognize and integrate our ET multidimensional nature and abilities, using them to produce innovations to build an exo-conscious civilization. Entrepreneurship and education. We are committed to co-creating a healthy world of free individuals with advanced consciousness. This icon represents the levels of consciousness involved in exo-conscious entrepreneurship and education, which include awareness, self-integration, morally autonomous participation, collaboration, and co-creation. The X realities in exo-conscious experience. This icon represents the balance of co-creation, feminine masculine, yin yang, earth cosmos. The inverted pyramid represents the multi-dimension accessible to exo-conscious humans that begins with an inward, grounded, and balanced awareness. The upward pyramid represents our exo-conscious paradigm ascending from within and moving outward to its highest purpose. Together, they form an hourglass representing a trustworthy nature, a consistency over time of the Institute for Exo-Consciousness and its members. Opportunities. Opportunity is the gateway that connects exo-conscious entrepreneurs, providing exposure and support for innovative co-creations through strong dynamic networks, extending intradimensionally through and beyond space and time. Discover more at iexo.com. We are exo-conscious.
That is a really big project, as you said. That's amazing. I'd love to speak to some of the ETs who have gotten beyond these issues that you're bringing up today. That would be a partnership I'd like to have.
We'd like to have you.
Thank you. Yes, well, there's lots for us to chat about, and I will reach out to you personally after this.
Great.
And thank you so much for sharing and enlightening us to some of the choice points that are on the forefront of human reality right now. And may we prevail, and may humanity have great discernment through all of these things. Would you agree?
I agree. I think we are prevailing.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
Good.
you.